It gives me great pleasure to bring to you a young lady who I think you will find inspirational because she is of your generation, but she has done so many wonderful things that will certainly take her to another level. I'd like to welcome to the microphone a young lady who has served as an international model. She is represented by Mother Model Management, that's the name of the company here in St. Louis, and Ford Models out of New York. Her name is Jennie Runk. She has appeared in fashion editorials for Vogue magazine, imagine that, Cosmo Girl, and Marie Claire. I'm sure publications that you are familiar with. And of course, she has traveled the globe, gone far beyond St. Louis to experience some things that have shown her what life is really all about. She has done both runway and print modeling. In the winter of 2009, Ms. Runk appeared in an editorial spread featuring all plus-sized models, which gained national acclaim and glamour. She also has appeared in campaigns globally, most notably here in the United States for Torrid. Would you please welcome and give her your utmost attention and respect, Miss Jennie Runk.
Hi. I'm Jennie. It's kind of funny. I don't really ever take a minute to realize how much I've accomplished until someone else starts going on about it, and then I get a little red because I'm like, wow, that's kind of a lot. So I'm here to. I was asked to come here and talk to you guys about kind of my career path, what I learned, and how that's helped me to advance myself in my own career. And to me, I mean, it sounds awesome, it sounds incredible, and it sounds like, wow, that's such a huge deal, but I mean, to my friends and family, I am just Jennie. So when I was 13 years old, that's when I was discovered to be a model. At first I didn't want to. When I was 13, I was awkward and dorky. I was a theater kid, I was a nerd, I was really into science. I was that girl that walked between classes with a book in my face. Everyone else at my high school had really nice, straight hair that wasn't frizzy and all over the place, and mine always made me feel really awkward because, you know, when I'm 13 years old, I really just wanted to fit in and be like everyone else. So I always had about a pound of hair gel in my hair, and I pulled it back really, really tight against my head and tied it up in a bun, and I wouldn't let anyone see it ever because it was so embarrassing to have anything that looked different than anyone else. And when I was asked to model, Mary and Jeff Clark, the people who discovered me, asked me to come over to their house and take some Polaroids, and they said, come with your hair down with no product in it. And I cried. I didn't want to do it. I cried because I didn't even know how to handle it. So my loving, supportive mother said, okay, you know, you can do this. We'll go straight there. We'll come straight home. No one will see you. It'll be okay. You can do this. So I show up, and I've got my hair down, and I'm, you know, 13 years old with this big curly mess of hair that I've never seen on anyone else's head, and it makes me feel weird. And as soon as I show up, both Mary and Jeff go on and on and on and on and on about how amazing it is and how beautiful it is and how much it's going to help me in my career because it's unique. And it took me a little while for that message to sink in, but within the first few years of my career, I learned that even though what made me different made me feel kind of awkward at first, and it made me kind of uncomfortable, what makes me different makes me unique, and that makes me beautiful, that makes me noticeable. And it actually turned out to be a huge asset for me. In the beginning, I was known as the girl with the curly hair for a while. In the beginning, that was my name for myself. It was that girl with that gorgeous long curly hair. So I kind of learned to, you know, embrace what makes me different as what makes me beautiful. When I first started, I was also given an option between going into straight size modeling, which those are the girls that you see in magazines that are about a size 2 and 4, or I could go up to a size 10. I was a size 8 when I got discovered, or I could go up to a size 10 and do what's called plus size modeling. And at first, I didn't really like the concept of that. I didn't want to be labeled. You know, nobody wants to be labeled as the plus size girl. So I thought about it a little while, and I talked to Mary and Jeff about it, who were very supportive in the beginning. They showed me some examples of other girls who have done plus-size modeling work, and I mean, all of them look fabulous. They look like normal-sized, healthy people. And it showed me that in the industry, there are standards, and it's a little twisted the way that they consider, you know, their normal-sized models are so thin. And a lot of them are fortunate enough to be naturally that thin. But for me, I couldn't do it. I didn't want to go on a diet. I really like Dr. Pepper. I really like Doritos. I didn't want to do it. So I decided to go ahead and just go up to about a size 10 and I started my career from the very beginning as a plus size model because I knew that was what was going to be healthier for me. And I'm really happy that I made that decision. I've never regretted it. I've never had to go through one of those anorexia horror stories that I hear so much about. I hear a lot of plus size girls saying that they started on the straight sized market and they went through eating disorders and, you know, they practically killed themselves trying to meet these measurements that their bodies just couldn't make. So I'm really fortunate that I was, you know, healthy enough and smart enough at such a young age that I decided that wasn't for me. So I'm really happy at, you know, the size I am. I think it's perfect for me. It works for me. So, I mean, and that just kind of taught me that, like, always make smart decisions when I'm, you know, choosing which way do I want to go in my career, which way do I want to go in school, and things like that. Pick whatever you think is going to be healthiest for you, what you think you can fulfill, go for that. I mean, I'm not going to set myself up for failure. I'm not going to go down to a size 4. No, it's not me. Another thing that I kind of learned through my career, well, is the importance of education. When I was in high school, my agents in New York they wanted me to move out to New York as soon as I graduated so I could work full-time, so I could make them more money, make myself more money, and be a full-time model. It sounds like a really good idea, sounds awesome, and if I were living in New York right now, I would be making so much money. I would probably be making more than my dad, but education is really important to me. Like I said, I was that girl who was always reading between classes. I literally like walking through the halls with a book, usually Stephen King, he's the best. So I decided to go to college instead. And fortunately for me, I found a school that was perfect for me. I thought about looking at schools in New York so that maybe I could try to do both. It might be a little bit easier, you know, pop into a casting and then go to class, but I thought about it, and if it came right down to go to a casting or go to class, I would probably go to a casting because that's my career, and I just always kind of put my career first. School now comes in a very close second, and there are some times when I'm so busy with school, I have to actually turn down a job. I have to stay home and get caught up on my homework instead. But I try to keep it fairly balanced. I was fortunate enough to find a small private school out in Columbia, Missouri, Stevens College. My class sizes are small enough to where I can form a really close relationship with my teachers, and they know me, they know that I'm trying hard to balance a full-time career and full-time school, and they work with me, and if I need to take a test early or if I need to turn in something late, they're more than happy to help me out with things like that. So when I first went to college, I wanted to be a theater major originally because I was really into theater in high school, but I knew that if I were to go into theater, I would probably end up missing rehearsals and performance dates because of my job, and that's not only unfair to me not having the opportunity to perform in something that I've worked so hard for, but it's not fair to all the other people in the performance that I would be working with. So I chose instead to go into creative writing. What I learned from that was basically, you know, if your first choice isn't going to work out, go for something else. I took a little bit of creative writing in high school. I knew it was fun. I really liked poetry. I was really into it. I wrote really nice poems. I went into creative writing at Stevens College, and even though it wasn't my first choice, I learned so much, not only about writing, and not only about characterization and plot and setting and theme and all that other stuff that comes with writing and reading and literature, but I learned a lot about myself. Through a lot of my writing exercises, of course, teachers ask you to go into some of your memories or your personal philosophy and all that other stuff. So it really made me think about myself. How do I view myself and the world around me? Things like that. Also, if I had never gone into creative writing, I never would have taken the screenwriting classes that I've started to really enjoy. And I never would have learned that I'm actually really good at that. So I found another form of writing that I'm really good at that I can succeed in. And so I'm really grateful to myself for having chosen that major and for having chosen that school, because it taught me that. So, I mean, basically just, I've always been looking at what am I good at now, how can I be better in the future, things like that. I knew I was good at poetry. I thought maybe I'll try some other writings out and see what other kind of writing styles I can be good at. School was not an option. I mean, it was just an always definite, I have to go to school, because even as a model, essentially my job is just show up, look pretty, have your picture taken, go home. When you look at it basically, that's a basic model. For me, I want to go the next step. I want to be the good model, the one that people remember. And in order to do that, you have to have a good reputation for yourself. So when I show up for a job, you know, I'm talkative, I know things, I'm educated because I'm in school. I talk about projects I'm working on. Right now I'm writing my first screenplay. It's really hard, but it's coming along very nicely. My teacher's really helpful. So it's nice when I show up for a job and you know, I'm talking to the client about my school. They're really interested that I have an entirely like an entirely different life aside from modeling, that I'm doing other things and I'm learning and I'm bettering myself. Clients talk. They do talk a lot, and if I show up for a job and if I don't like the shoes that I'm shooting and I throw a huge fit and say I can't do this and walk away, they're gonna talk to other clients and say, don't hire that girl Jennie, she's a prima donna and she'll mess up your entire shoot. So, I mean, it's really important for me to just always keep a good, positive disposition, come across as an intelligent, well-read human being, which is something I aspire to be. I'm really happy that I'm a little bit past my halfway point in school. I have about another year and a half. Hopefully by the time I graduate, I'll have written my first screenplay, and that'll be one more accomplishment that I can add to my list of things I've done. And I'm looking forward to being done with school, because when I'm done with school, I'll have time to write my first book. And I've been looking forward to writing a book since I was probably 12 years old. So, you know, even when I'm out of school, I'm just gonna keep working on myself, my writing, you know, making myself a better person, learning. I just signed up for summer school for online classes, and I was talking to my advisor about it, and I was like, I'm so happy I registered for summer school, because, you know, usually I get so bored. I'm used to schoolwork, and being so busy that when the summertime comes and I'm only working and I'm not going to school, I have all this extra time, I don't know what to do with it. And I was like, well, now I get to learn, so I'm kind of excited. And she just looked at me like, really? I was like, yeah. So, I mean, so it's true. Huge nerd, but I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit I am a huge nerd. I love learning, and probably when I'm done with school, I'm gonna be looking for other ways to learn even more. The only TV I really enjoy watching is the Discovery Channel. So, I mean, that's all really that I have to say for you guys, is just through what I've learned. Maybe you can take some of the lessons I've learned. Just look at what you've done in the past. I look at what I've done in the past. I've shot Vogue, I've shot 17, I've shot Cosmo Girl, I've done all these amazing things. And I look at that and I say, wow, that's a lot. But I don't get so wrapped up in it that I don't look towards the future as well. I look at it and say, I did that much, where can I go from there? You know, this whole theme today is the sky is the limit. And in a way, I've gotten there. In a way, I've kind of reached the sky. I mean, shooting Vogue is a pretty big deal in the industry. Once you get that, you know, there's not a whole lot more that you can do. But, you know, I got there and I said, that's awesome. Now, like, what more can I do? So just always keep that in mind. There's always more that you can do. There's always something else you can do to better yourself. And I mean, the sky's the limit, and then there's space. So all the way up there.